put our attention into some technical issues. Yeah, this is very critical for those who have blamed the Tinubu government about the manner in which they have handled things, and those who will say the Tinubu government are really making effort. They have done quite a lot in 1 year. The question you should be asking is, what are those things that they have done? How come people don't appreciate it? But those who will say it's a communication problem. Well, tonight, let's get some perspective and get a professional touch on explaining to us what the problems are and perhaps the solution. I'm being joined by a perception manager, an expert, Mr. Yomi Badejo Okusanya, who is the lead partner at the CMC Connect. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Okusanya, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you, Sean.
I appreciate it.
Quite a while.
Thank you, it's been a while. From your own point of view, perception is what you have done all your life. You know how to mold perception, manage perception, and even create narratives. But for this government, over the last 1 year, what would you say, or what have you identified as a professional in that sector is a major problem?
Okay, thank you, Sean. Before coming here, I got a list of things that the administration has done. Let me read some of them. Minimum wage. Import duties suspended on food items, import duties suspended on pharmaceutical raw materials, 30,000 petrol-powered commercial vehicles, 20,000 students of tertiary institutions have already been covered in student loans, 50,000 presidential grant for 600,000 people, 75 billion to be disbursed in 100,000 for small and medium scale enterprise, 10 billion, 110 billion approved for disbursement for youth investment, consumer credit scheme, over 570 billion released for state governors for the expansion of livelihood support. And there's a whole lot, three pages of what this administration
and these are policy oriented, and these are also active government decisions or real in the real sector, things that have been done that we can see on the ground.
Or things that are in the pipeline. So you begin to ask yourself, where is the lacuna? Where is the dissonance? Why are people out on the streets? And I've heard a lot of your guests talk about the issue of communication all day and saying that the communication is not there. I think it's something that needs to be examined.
So from what you have seen, a lot of movement, a lot of activity, but there seems not to be the disconnect is the communication, the gap between the people and the government.
That's right.
Is that right?
That's right. When the Ahmed Bola Tinubu administration came up, my firm carried out a survey, and most people said they were going in the right direction. And if you also find out what from most people you've spoken to, they said, yeah, we understand the issues, because any of the contestants then who will win or who would have won the presidential election, they would have had to go through this path. The question again is then, why this huge disconnect? Why are the people not believing to the extent that they can go out?
So I need to ask you, are the expert, why?
Well, one, there's a trust deficit. And that trust deficit is not from this government alone. It's been from way past.
It's a systemic problem.
It's a systemic problem.
That over people time, don't believe in their government.
Yes, they don't believe in the government anymore. Let's talk about what reputation is. Reputation, like we said, is what people believe who you are. And that your reputation is based on trust. You have invited me because you trust that I'll be able to contribute to the subject matter. I have come here because I believe that you're a credible channel. So there's trust involved in everything you do. There's trust involved. So right now, I think the government of the day did not start with that trust. They did not start by building that trust on which some of these programs can run. I say things, for example, what the administration says is that it's about renewed hope. Is renewed hope a tangible or an intangible? It is, of course, an intangible, but there's a way you can convert hope into a tangible that people can look forward to. And how do you do that? You give them a roadmap of where we're going. You give them a destination for them to look at. You give them a place where they can arrive at. And I think that that's where the challenge, that's where the disconnect has been. The government, and some people may crucify me for this, they mean well from what I've seen. I don't believe that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would sit in his house or in his room or in the presidential villa and would deliberately like to inflict suffering on the people. But the path to getting to where there's a solution or to getting to where that promised land is, has not been as well communicated.
I mean, you've been on the ground for quite a while, and you've run your agency in Lagos, where Governor Bola Tinubu of in 1999 and 2007 held sway as the governor. So you understand a reputation, because you mentioned the issue of reputation.
That's right.
So reputation is not something that happens today and now.
No,
it's something that you have built over the years.
That's
now,
right.
So if you describe Bola Tinubu, you will say it's one man that has a reputation of excellence. Is right? Is that right?
Well, yes.
You will say that is a governor that stands out amongst his colleagues and his peers when he was governor
class of 1999.
And you will probably say is a governor that also knows what he knows his audience, isn't it?
That's right.
And that in performance, maybe he has been able to put the name of Lagos State quite on the global map as the fourth largest economy on the continent.
That's right.
So he has a reputation.
That's right.
Is the reputation in danger at the moment?
Definitely. Definitely.
What is putting it in most danger right now?
Well, because the people are not matching the results, or let me put it like this, the performance or the promise with what they're experiencing at the moment. Let me tell you something. You can postpone your rent, paying your rent. You can postpone paying your children's school fees. You can postpone paying salaries, but you cannot postpone hunger. You cannot postpone hunger. When it comes, it comes. So a lot of people right now are reacting. And what they're thinking is that, yes, these policies on the long run may turn out right. But right now, we're hungry. And a hungry man, they say, is an angry man. And therefore, what can we do immediately to alleviate the problem? There's only one antidote for hunger, is food. If there's no food, you can't preach to the person.
Hope is intangible.
Hope is intangible. You can't give the person hope.
You have to
when
there's
hunger. It's food. There's only one.
Even if you do 60-day fasting, you have to still break.
At the end of the day, when you want to break, you break with food. You don't break with, you can pray, but you break with food. So the truth of the matter here is that, yes, so let me give you an example of what I'm talking about now. So in terms of belief, the peoples are saying, our hopes have been dashed over a period of time. Every time the government, and I'm not saying just this government, has been telling us, tighten your belt, tighten your belt. And at the end of the day, we don't seem to have the end of the tunnel. And you asked the governor of Kaduna State a question just right now. When communication, what you say is, let me put it like this, what you say is perhaps maybe less than 20 or 30, 20-something% of your entire communication. It is what you do that speaks a lot more volumes. So, are you matching your walk with your talk? Which would then make people believe in you that this is where we're going. If we, the citizen, are asked to tighten our belt, the government must also demonstrate. Because the first thing the government must do right now is reconnect with the citizens of this country.
So is profligacy is it part of the problem?
The people don't see that the government are tightening their belts, because when you see some of the things that are happening, when you see some of the things, I'm not a politician, I'm just a communication.
So, and that's a disaster, isn't it?
It is sending the wrong signals.
Because there are those who will say, do what I do, don't do what I say.
Yes. So if you're
and in government, you've got to do what you say and what you do.
Yes.
You've got to make people do what you do. And what I mean, in the Biagbo and the Buhari era, there are those who will say some of those values Now that government, the military government,
That's right.
I see very much. You
That's
see
right.
people staying on the queues.
That's
it
right.
became a culture.
Yeah.
You see people marching
That's
in
right.
and out
Yes.
of classrooms.
Yes.
Kids. These are some of the things that became some part of our nature as a people. And if you are thinking about the right things to be done and right things to help this government, how important is perception, though?
But very important. In fact, I think that the challenge that the administration has is that immediately the president took or made those statements, and on May 29, 2020, last year, May 29th, when 2023, I beg your pardon. I think that the biggest thing they ought to have invested in is communication. Because many people predicted that this day will come. If there is no way where the I beg your pardon, the belief of the people can be managed, it will come to where we are today. And that's why so for me, I think that with all what this government has listed as its achievement, a proactive approach would have been a lot better than the reactive which we're experiencing now.
I mean, you've been in this sector, so you know Bola Tinubu should be the last person that should have a communication problem. He's a media owner. And there are those who will say, being a governor of Lagos State is a hub of communication and the media. And there are those who will say, look, he understood the language of communication and the media when he was there. He was friends of a lot of journalists. There are a lot of journalists who work in his government. Dele Alake is an example. You have the Kaude Fayemis of this world. You have the leader of the Senate who also work. There are a lot of people who practice journalism that worked with Bola Tinubu. A Sunday Daddy is that those who have worked with him. He's supposed to be the last man to have a communication problem. But did he get it wrong in the setting up, or where do you think the problem started from?
First and foremost, there's a dissonance. And what I mean is that I see a lot of people come up and they're not speaking the same language. I gave an example earlier on this morning, and I gave an example of what happened to many years ago when Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola was governor of Lagos State. And I went to an event and he spoke at that event on a Monday. And then on a Thursday, one of his commissioners spoke at another event that I was. Take away the voice, take away the person, they spoke in the same manner. So that's number one. There must be unity of purpose. And there's something I mentioned earlier on today. I talked about there's a politics of communication, and then there's the communication of politics. A lot of what is happening is the politics of communication rather than the communication of politics. So you have a situation whereby there are discordant tunes. And then secondly, communication is a two-way process. And I think that as much as the government is speaking, they should also listen and take it in. I wonder how much of that listening is going on. Maybe through surveys, maybe through research, maybe feedback, and so on and so forth. Number three, I find out that a lot of people who come, especially on media channels like yours, they tend to be talking down at the citizens. And I believe that that is not right. I think that they should engage with the citizen. So the politics of communication tendency is that you are rewarding patronage, and therefore people are in a scramble to show that they're the ones who are doing the best for their principle. But when it comes to the communication of politics, the entire team comes together. And when I mean the entire team, I'm not just talking about those who are involved with the communication role, but the entire team come together and they are schooled, so to speak, on what they take out there and how they would communicate with the citizenry. Because the biggest thing they require is to engage with the citizens and bring them on board. There's something that is lacking here. It's called ownership. And you find out that most citizens are not in ownership. No, that's not true. A lot of citizens may not be in ownership of this administration in the sense that they believe in what the administration is doing, and through the challenges that we're going through, they can work. They can own it. They can say, okay, let's go through this period. We don't mind. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's forgo this. Let's forgo that. So that the administration, you need to paint a vivid picture of where we are going. And those pictures have to be accompanied with strong timelines.
So, Mr. Kusaya, now that I got you, difficult to get you on this kind of set, but now that I have the privilege, and as a very good friend, and as a patriot, I'd like you to do a job for us, for free.
Yes.
We are at that point that we need to fix our country.
Yes.
But if the highest office in the land has this kind of perception and communication problem, there is a way out, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
We are not doomed. Anyways, we still can fix things. All right, let's get a free consultancy from you.
Okay.
And I imagine those in the presidency, and in fact, maybe the president might be watching us tonight.
Okay, first and foremost.
Structurally and ideologically, there needs to be a reshaping, isn't it?
That's right.
What should they do immediately?
Press a reset.
How?
One, every crisis is an opportunity. So if there's no crisis, there's no opportunity. This is an opportunity for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reset his administration. One, when you're in a crisis, bring out your gun. This is a big crisis. Bring out your biggest gun, and that's President Tinubu. If he comes out and he speaks, I am sure that it would, like a balloon, some air will be deflated from it. Number two, there are some things that the people have asked for, those who are protesting. Truth of the matter is that you must exchange something. You must meet them at a certain level. You cannot tell them, or it will be difficult, let me not put it like this, it's difficult for you to tell them to get off the street when they haven't gotten anything. Give them something, trade something. Recently, we had the issue with labor, and government said, oh, this is the amount we want to pay. Labor said, this is the amount we want. There was a concession, and at the end of the day, there was an agreement because labor got something. Immediately, I think President Bola Tinubu must seize this narrative. He must seize the moment, and he can do that by, one, coming out, addressing the citizens. 2 days now, there's been protests. Let him address the citizens. One, not through anybody. Let him do that. Number two, let him grant some concessions. Because at the end of the day, even when you want to appeal to the protesters, sheath your swords. You can say, okay, this is what I have given you. This is what you have. This other one would look into it. He's a master negotiator, and I'm sure he can do that. He did that with labor, and I'm sure he can do that with the people here, with the protesters. Get them off the street. First and foremost, let us sit down at a table. Immediately, these are the things. If we look at what happened in Kenya, the first thing that the President Ruto did was that he canceled the bill. He first said he suspended it, and then he said outright, I'm not even going to address it. So that brought some respite.
Yeah. Let me pause you for a moment. Let's go to a state where we had very much relative peace. And one of the person who was very vocal on the street, vocal on the pulpit, and also vocal on the street. And there was a reference to him yesterday on this program. It's Prophet Issa El-Buba, who joins us virtually live from Jos, the capital of Plateau State. Prophet, thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
It's a pleasure, Shaun, to be with you today.
Thank you so much.
And it's good listening to you.
Yeah. Thank you for your patience. Give us an understanding. You felt the pulse of fellow Nigerians who took to the street. And from what you saw and what you felt, what do you think is at the center of that agitation?
Basically, there are very few things. And it's unfortunate when I listen to some of the government officials or governors, you're pointing their fingers at us politicians sponsoring some of these things. That is far from the truth. I will tell you, like on the situation of the plateau, there is not one politician, not one. It is just the people. It's an organic thing. And it's because of the level of pain, the level of hunger. And the fact is that the government is far away from the people. And that's why there's this disconnect. And I just heard one of the panels, the individuals on the set that said that the government, or sometimes the political elites in government, look down on the citizen or talk down on the citizen. That's the reality. And so because the people are hungry, that's number one. Number two, the promises the presidency has been making for over 1 year, those promises are not coming through. And the people are not seeing a reality to it. And then you look at the level of insecurity. Now, for instance, I had to get some farmland to give to over 80 households for them to go and farm. We have to secure the environment. We have to provide seeds for these people. Where is the Minister of Agriculture, for instance? Nobody knows it. So the presidency has a wrong thing. And so the people are not informed. We'll hear of palliatives. The president is giving palliative, but nobody sees it here at the bottom. Nobody. For instance, we hear that the president has given governors several amount of money. I am telling you this, the citizens are not saying anything. There is no fertilizer. I had to buy fertilizer for 40,000 naira. And we were told that the government has released fertilizer, subsidized fertilizer. But there's nothing like that. So there is pain in the lives of the people. And I can tell you, Sean, there is hunger in the land. People are dying every day. We've never seen it like that. So that is the force that has made the people to come out, organically. Nobody. You can see individuals bringing 4,000, 2,000. People are bringing water to drink. People are just contributing to sustain these protests. And by the grace of God, my presence among the people has been able to help the people to be orderly. And the thousands of people, nobody, even some of the people that were singing the song, Tinubu must go, Tinubu must go, after addressing them, nobody is saying that anymore. We are not asking the president to go. What we are asking the president to do is to act immediately. There are few things the president can do right now in 24 hours. We've stated some of these things. What
those things be, Prophet?
Short term, what are the mid-term things, and what are the long term?
Can you briefly talk
in the next 24 hours?
Can you briefly talk through some of those three
next 24
stages?
Hours, the president can come out and say, the president can say in the short term, the president can come out immediately to, number one, address the nation and say, number one, look, he has the wrong cabinet. I will tell you this. The president can act on it immediately. Look, I'm going to act on my cabinet in the next few hours. He can present that. The president can act immediately and say, look here, the issue of of fertilizer, I'm going to act on this, and I'm asking the Ministry of Agriculture to liaise with the activists, the ones that are not corrupt, to be able to monitor it, not government official. Then the president immediately can summon all the leaders of the protest and sit down with them, not with the politicians. I'm sorry to say that, because they are only singing the songs of deception. They are not telling the truth. And so the best thing for him to do immediately is to call for this politician. If he addresses the nation immediately and call for the leaders of the protesters across the country, sit down with them, listen to them immediately. I'm telling you, in the next 24 hours or 48 hours, this thing will be called up. Now, for instance, let me give you an example about the subsidy. He should declare and say, okay, because the protesters have demanded, I'm going to reverse the issue of the subsidy matter. I'm going to reinstate it in the next few months, but this is the way we're going to go. And the president can do it. The CNG, they have made promises since last year. We have been praying for the president to succeed because he is our president. He is the leader of the nation. We can't take that away from him. And so what he needs to do immediately, where is the Minister of Petroleum? Who is the Minister of State Petroleum? These CNG kits are supposed to be in all NNPC filling stations, but they are not there. All NNPC filling station, but you cannot find it. It's only promises. It's only promises. I give you an example. A governor did something yesterday. The governor of Taraba. He went to the protesters, sat with the protesters, sang with the protesters, spoke to the protesters, and I tell you, nobody reacted. Just like what I'm doing on the plateau. All the protesters in their thousands, none of them is misbehaving. Everybody is putting himself together. So the president would need to have one-on-one communication with the people. And I tell you, the president can succeed. So this is short term. And then the other thing that the president will need to do short term is to cut down on his expenses. What is it? God has blessed him. He has everything. So as a leader, you will have to make a sacrifice. And that sacrifice will mean that no buying of jets, no building of new government palaces. We have the old one. Let's manage it for now because of the state of the nation. But the people are hearing millions, trillions, billions, billions every day. And I tell you the truth, it's affecting them. I traveled to about 20 states in the past few days. I had to take up the Minister of Works. Thank God he apologized on the media. I had to take them and say, look at it. It doesn't take so much money to fix some of this road. Nigerians will see it. Nigerians are suffering. All we need to do is just little. Nigerians are the easiest people to lead. I saw this in this protest. As I led the people, some of the people that were taught, we got them converted. They changed their mind. Even the ones that were sponsored by government officials, we got them converted. They joined this thing and agreed that we need to change the system in our nation. So they renewed hope. There are things that the president can do short term. Then there is the mid-term. Then there is the long term. And he should give a timeline that in the next 7 days, Nigerians, you will see this. In the next 2 weeks, Nigerians, you will see this. In the next 1 month, Nigerians, you will see this. The ministers should not be sitting in the offices, as executive bosses over Nigerians. The ministers of the president should be on the streets, should be with the people. If you are elected or appointed to serve the people, you should be a servant, not a master. We are having people that the moment they come into office, they feel they are masters. But you see, I had to bring myself with my children, my family. We were with the protesters. I had to coordinate it. If I did not coordinate what happened on the plateau would have gone bizarre. But right now, you see they are growing by the day. Today, they are 3 times more than yesterday.
Professor Abuba, just for a moment.
So my is that the president
just for a moment.
Can fix things.
Well,
yes.
I'd like to ask you, from what you have seen so far, do you think that this protest has achieved some major objectives that it set out to achieve? And do you think that this government's attention has been gotten? And does it look like this government is a listening one?
Now, let me give you this. Number one, this protest has achieved a lot. Number one, it has proven to the political class that they cannot continue to take the masses for granted, especially here in the north, where politicians make themselves like emperor. The reality is now showing up on their faces that if they don't take care of the people will not give them space to even enjoy their loots. Number two, the issue of religion. People using religion to cause division in the north especially, I tell you that has fallen. If you see today, Christians surrounded thousands of Muslims and they were praying. I asked the Muslims to go to the mosques to pray. They all shouted, no sir, no sir, we are going to pray here. And so the issue of this religion, the seat of discord, has fallen. Number three is that Nigerians are coming to realization that they can actually take up on their government and demand for accountability. So it has achieved so much beyond our comprehension. So the only thing the president needs to do immediately is to respond. I'm telling you, these young men are not they are not like rescinding. They are not going, they are not like saying we're going to give up. They are multiplying by the day. Let's not be deceived by some of the comments I hear governors, I hear some of the people come online, it's politicians who don't like the president and all of that. It's a lie. It's a blatant lie. And I'm being straightforward. I'm sorry, I'm not diplomatic, because we have to fix this country. We have to get things working in this country. And the president has a lot. He has a good heart to do it, but I tell you, the people working with him, they are just the bad set. Right now, as I'm talking to you, to me as a person, the president doesn't have more than 3 ministers that are really functional. Who is the minister of agriculture? Who is the minister of social duty? Who is the minister? Who are they? Nobody knows them. So there are actions that will be taken, and this protest, I tell you, is doing a lot. And I will advise the governors to go meet the people. Stop sitting in the office as an emperor. You are the servant of the people. You need to talk to the people. And I'm telling you this, it's not about Tinubu. It's not about APC. It's the fact that there is a wrong system that is on ground, and many of the special advisors and government officials are just lying to the president. For instance, why should they go and hire talks? Why should they go and hire people? They call them anti-protest people. Give them money to come and speak in support of the president. They don't need to do that. They don't need to spend that money. If they have come down and speak with the protesters, I'm telling you, we won't be where we are right now.
The final note, Prophet, because you are a cleric and you see things spiritually, some of the things that ordinary persons like us don't see. What do you see on your spirit mind about the Tinubu government? I believe so much in the Nigerian project, and I know that one day, and I keep my shoulders high whenever I'm amongst my international peers, and they know that I'm a Nigerian, and I don't hide it. And in the knowledge that God has given to me, I also make it known to them that I'm from a nation that is proud of itself. Now, what do you see about the Nigerian nation and the Tinubu government? Can you share with us just in 30 seconds?
I'll tell you the truth. First of all, I want to commend you, Sean, for really standing for the masses. You don't know how much you have affected the ordinary citizens. I'm being honest with you. All right? there are calls for me to negotiate on this matter, but I resisted it. I refused it because of the pain of the people. I see a new Nigeria. That's what I see. And President Tinubu has, let me use the word, he has the greatest opportunity to write his name in gold. Because Nigeria is going to lead the state of Africa. Africa needs to be free. I'll tell you the truth. And it's going like a wind. I see it like a mighty wind. I won the Kenyan president a few weeks ago, and exactly that is what happened. I have spoken to president. I have spoken about our president. He has the best opportunity. If he can just listen to the right people, I'm telling you, in less than 6 months, President Tinubu will do what has not been done in 15 years. I'm saying this. In less than 6 months. So I see a new Nigeria. That's why I am passionate. And that's why I didn't sit in the comfort of my house. I am on the street. Can you imagine, from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., I'm under the sun, directing these young people, speaking to these young men, because I feel the pain. I feel the pulse. It's not just preaching. I'm preaching to them. We need to show them the way. So, President Tinubu, there is hope for Nigeria. I see a new Nigeria. But right now, the president will need to take a quick action before this nation will get out of hand. But then everything will lead to a glorious destination, but he has the best opportunity to write his name in gold. He shouldn't listen to people that are telling him it is Peter Obi, it is Atiku, it is that politician, it is Silva, it is this in that state. It's a lie. It's a lie.
Professor
Nigerians are the ones who have come out to express their thing.
Prophet Issa El-Buba.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
A Christian cleric based in Jos Plateau said, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. And I believe that Nigeria will be great. It's for certain. I believe so much in my spirit. Thank you so much for your time. Let me allow you to close for us tonight. What parting words do you have for this nation? Led by President Bola Tinubu, we are at a threshold, at a moment where we need to unite as a people for the greatness of this country. What word would you have, a lasting word you have for President Tinubu and this country?
Reconnect with the people. And you can reconnect with the people because there's dissonance. I've mentioned this. The dissonance has led to the lack of ownership of the policies that he has brought, that's there. And I think that lack of policy is because we still haven't communicated it well enough. And that has resulted in a poor perception of those policies and the good intention of and sincerity of this administration, and even the commitment of the president. So what's the solution? Let's rejig the solution, the strategic communication apparatus of this country. Starting, let there be a lot of investment in it. Because it doesn't seem to be hardcore, people think that let's take money to finance, let's take money to this, let's take money to that, let's take money to trade. But you need to invest significantly. You need to be deliberate. You need to be intentional about the way that you are communicating with people. Prophet said it. I believe it. Let's stop this blame game. Every governor I've listened to, it says they are the enemies that are distracting. There are only two people who are responsible, in my opinion, for this protest, Mr. Hunger and Mr. Poverty. And unfortunately, the security people cannot arrest both of them. Like I said earlier, you can't postpone on hunger when it comes. So I think, Mr. President, come out tomorrow, address the Nigerians. You do it. You do it. Not through any of your aides.
Number two, proxy.
Yes, not through any proxy. Give a few things. By 3 days, I'll do this. By 7 days, I'll do this. By 8 days, I'll do that. By 1 week, I'll do that. And you see how that protest balloon will be deflated.
Mr. Yomi Badejo Okusanya, who is the lead partner at CMC Connect, a perception manager. Excellent. Thank you so much. And it's good to see you, Mr. Okusanya.
Thank you, Shehu.
Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you.